Attorney General has said the court martial cannot sit because of this judgment. For the court martial, they are not waiting for a decree. There are also no discussion with anyone else, but they immediately stopped functioning. And I want to thank him for release of prisoners, including Dr. Besigye, who is in Ruzira now illegally because there is no detention warrant. There, the DPP is realizing, I have written to Supreme Court. Why didn't you render the same advice to the court martial that continue working as I liaise with the Supreme Court? Why do you think for them they needed to stop functioning immediately, but the others can continue disobeying? I am sympathetic to him. Maybe the same reason that court said military people cannot purport to be dispensing justice. Because the people were asking the Attorney General to advise, they have already expressed themselves. The CDF said Besigye can only get out of prison in a coffin. Really, what sort of advice can you give a person who thinks like that? Even if you are a professor of law times 3. The CDF, one of the supervisors of the General Court Martial, has said Dr. Besigye can only get out of prison in a coffin. He had even arranged to kill him. He had even identified a tree in Guru. And that's why I sympathize with you. Sometimes sometimes these jobs, these jobs, I think we may need one time the late Professor Kiduma Kuya was asked to offer advice to the president, and he said in law you may or may give no advice. That's how he used to talk. In this case, I choose to give no advice. That's what he told the president. One of the reasons he was eventually sacked. What advice do you give to a person who has made the statements that the CDF has made? And then the president who went to Luwero to fight, killing people because he wanted the power. Yes, in Luwero they were not hunting, they were killing. He even speaks about it, how he was robbing guns from barracks, from Kabamba to Masindi to Hoima. He writes trouble is that you support him, but you don't read his book. Because if you did, all this information is there. He went to Luwero to kill, he killed, robbed the banks, including one in Kabale. And then he said he was fighting point number 1 of NRM is democracy. And he says judges don't rule. So who rules Uganda? The president and his son. That what they say is sacrosanct. Even the Attorney General, you are wasting your time. So I want the Attorney General to help me understand whether you can render an advice to 2 military men who have already expressed themselves. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution does not allow Parliament to take any decision whose effect will alter a judgment of court. In advising these military people who are not listening, the Attorney General said he was talking about an amendment. Can he tell us? And I listened to Honorable Fox Odoi very carefully, and I want to thank him. He said there's nothing to amend. But the Attorney General says they have advised him to amend. So what are you advising them to amend, sir? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Order, honourable colleagues.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I will take you back in time. Take you back in time to a language that is now considered dead. This language used to be the language of instruction to lawyers. It is otherwise known as Latin. In Latin, we would summarize our discussion this afternoon in one sentence. Corte suprema alla cuta cosa finito. And I will translate that. The Supreme Court has spoken, all matters are settled. There's no matter left for discussion. There's absolutely nothing left for discussion. There's absolutely nothing left for resolution. There's nothing left for amendment. Even here, I understood the position of the Speaker to be a request to the learned Attorney General to render an account of the implementation of the court order. And I sat here attentively and I listened to the learned Attorney General render an account of the steps they have taken to implement the court order in an orderly manner. Because we do not expect them to implement the court order in a manner that will cause chaos. They will never be able to amend a single order from the Supreme Court. So, and he's only pleading for time. He's asking you for time to implement the court order. My land brother Korora has already told you, even where the court said there must be cessation of prosecution immediately.
Point of order. Honourable Chair.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Fox Odoi is the chair of the Human Rights Committee. He is supposed to help protect the rights of Ugandans. He knows that people who are now in prison are detained illegally and their rights are being infringed upon. Is he in order to say that what the Attorney General is doing is okay and people can be in prison and wait because he's doing it orderly? Is he in order?
Now, honourable colleagues, how will I be determining points of order on opinions? Because these are opinions. This is Honourable Fox Odoi's opinion. This is how he has understood it. Now, where will I bias myself? Say, for you, you're out of order. Your opinion is out of order. It becomes difficult for me. That's Honourable.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for your very wise counsel and ruling. Right Honourable Speaker, the Attorney General is in a very unenviable position. And at this very critical moment, I can only state that I have absolute faith in his knowledge of the law and his commitment to actions bona fides. So as a House, Right Honourable Speaker, I think it would be improper for us to impute malified intentions on the part of the Attorney General. I beg to submit.
Thank you. I had allowed Honourable Ssemujju as we were beginning.
To sincerely thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I think I want to make a humble contribution to this discussion. Right Honourable Speaker, the judgment of court was pronounced. I think the most unfortunate thing that some of us are doing is thinking that we can read this judgment off from the original text. We have excerpts of judgments which people are reading and not understanding the exact judgment. Yes, you can say the pronouncement of court that judgments of this nature are in rem. It is true. But even for you to find somebody in contempt, one of the executing officers, it ought to have been brought to the attention of that person. We have the judgment which has been delivered by court. But what can only be executed is an extract of a decree or an order, which is the responsibility of the lawyers who are participating in the case. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we can say they're self-executing judgments. That is right. But when you read the orders of this judgment, and I want to particularly look at one of the orders, it says that all charges, this is the judgment of Winyitolo, all charges, page 194, all charges or ongoing criminal trials or pending trials before the courts martial involving civilians must immediately cease and be transferred to the ordinary courts of law with the competent jurisdiction. The word immediate is there. It's immediately cease and be transferred. So when you are reading the text, the paragraph, the sentence, it has a continuing. So if you say, this is a matter of interpretation. And where there is a dispute, as per the interpretation, it is not for Attorney General, it's for the court to settle that component. That what do you mean? Because court did not say release. If we are reading it to the dot, the court did not say release. Say immediately cease and transfer. Now, the process of transfer is a process. It is a process. So I think we need to understand it from that context. So we cannot castigate Attorney General for giving his view on all the processes that are being undertaken. But I think let's do our work. This is the real text. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honourable
Speaker. The technical issues about the judgment have been raised ably. What I need to add, Right Honourable Speaker, is the component of human rights. In the whole world, when it comes to matters that affect human rights, there is always a deviation from deeper technicalities, because the feeling is that people's rights are being violated. And from the wording of the judgment, any continuation of detention of the prisoners infringes their rights. What the Attorney General has put, which we should put much emphasis on, is how should we do it systematically so that order is maintained in the country. It would also be ugly to wake up in the morning and then people say we have stormed the Luzira prisons to pick our people. So what I want to implore the Attorney General is to rightly advise the powers that be to have an expeditious handling of the implementation of the non-debatable orders that were made in the judgment, considering in mind that we still have a long list of individuals who are now falling in the category of people whose rights have been violated. And at this point, we also need to appreciate the position of the Attorney General, where he is the legal advisor to government. And his role is advisory. So I see us crucifying a messenger who has delivered a message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney General.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I think I just want to clarify on one issue that probably Lop raised. The decision, the issue of the position of the inmates now, all the inmates who are under the trial in the General Court Martial, all their matters are now under the jurisdiction of the courts of judicature.